Welcome to Financials with Ahau. It's yet another lovely time to gather together to discuss as we grow on this financial journey of making wealth. Today, we'll pick up from where we stopped last week as we spoke about the emergency fund. And last week, we just discussed briefly on an emergency fund for everyday expenses. And today, we are going to take a little different angle where we're going to talk about an emergency fund for eventualities. Why I pick up this topic is especially given what we have experienced this past 2 years with the global COVID-19 experience. We have seen that there truly can be eventualities we don't expect, and for even longer periods than we expect. Given that this was declared globally as a pandemic, many health insurers and insurers in general did not cover it, requiring for those who are dealing with things around COVID-19 health-wise to cater for themselves. And of course, we know the change in lifestyle that has brought other diseases that are requiring us to have extra funds to do things like take our relatives away for treatment, deal with caregivers, and just being able to handle a financial consequence of something we did not plan for. So when we talk about eventualities, typically, the eventualities we would face today would be an ailment that cannot be covered by an insurance that we have, should we have an insurance, and then we don't have an insurance, finances that can broker this. Another eventuality can be, sadly for us, even as we think about life is the death of a loved one, how do we deal with that? Another eventuality can be just life changes. Let's say in the event of losing work and you have to relocate, which goes beyond living expenses. So just looking now at the emergency fund a bit more stretched out as now a type of fund that would help us deal with things we don't expect in life. So how do we save for this? Ideally, the first guide would be looking at the market. Generally, what would this cost to cater for at least one person? What would it cost to relocate at least one person out of the city? What would it cost if at least one person in my family had a very dire medical condition that needed liquid cash? What would it cost if one member of my family, God forbid, passed away and we needed to lay them to rest well? Thankfully, there's also the aspect, especially in terms of laying to rest, of last expense, so that assists. But these other things like relocations, and elements we don't expect, how do we handle that? Why do we start with the ground level of one person? Because from determining a unit cost, we're able to cost it for the number of people who are in our core need space or core care space. How do we know then the cost for this one person is? We would look at what is going on in the market. So for instance, if God forbid I needed to ship a relative for treatment in India, what would that look like? Would it be 200,000? Would it be 300,000? Would it be 500,000? And you're not trying to raise all this money, but you're just trying to be in a place where you can at least have something to start you off. What would it mean to relocate? Then again, one person. What is the cost of transport between counties in Kenya? What is the cost of housing across different counties? Of course, many times when you're relocating from a place where you have high expense to low expense. So you're anticipating low expenses, but there's still a cost of movement, if it's children changing schools and things like that, especially when it's not assisted by work and other things like this, when it's catered for by the individual. So these are different dynamics we can look at. They may look very complex, but one thing that we can assure you is that when we start with planning, then we're able to make a lot of mileage. We look forward to continuing to discuss, share your questions, and grow together. Thank you. This is Ahau. It's been great having you.